U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin engaged in discussions regarding the enhancement of ties with India in order to counter China. The talks between the U.S. Defense Secretary and India focused on upgrading their partnership to address China's economic ascent and increased aggression. Austin's meeting with India's Defense Minister Rajnath Singh emphasized technological collaborations, including defense, clean energy, and space. India aims to strengthen its domestic defense industry by acquiring technology and reducing its dependence on imports, particularly from Russia. Austin expressed his intention to reinforce the major defense partnership between the U.S. and India, promoting a shared vision of a free and open Indo-Pacific. The Defense Secretary's visit to India was aimed at laying the groundwork for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's upcoming visit to Washington. Speculation has arisen about potential defense contracts being announced during Modi's visit to the U.S. in June. India is seeking to purchase 18 armed high-altitude long-endurance unmanned aerial vehicles from General Atomics Aeronautical Systems Incorporated, primarily for deployment along its borders with China and Pakistan. Joint production and manufacturing of combat aircraft engines, infantry combat vehicles, howitzers, and precision ordnance were discussed between the U.S. and India in a meeting in Washington. Austin arrived in New Delhi from Singapore, where he attended the Shangri-La Dialogue, advocating for support for the U.S.'s vision of a free, open, and secure Indo-Pacific. China's defense minister criticized the U.S. at the conference, accusing it of deceiving and exploiting Asia-Pacific nations to serve its own interests. China believes the U.S. is perpetuating Cold War-era alliances and forging new alliances to divide the world and incite confrontation. India is attempting to strike a balance in its relations with the U.S. and Russia, reducing its reliance on Russian arms by diversifying its defense purchases. The defense trade between the U.S. and India has increased significantly, reaching over $20 billion in 2020 from almost no trade in 2008. Indian defense acquisitions from the U.S. include long-range maritime patrol aircraft, C-130 transport aircraft, missiles, and drones. Approximately 60% of India's defense equipment is sourced from Russia, creating a dilemma as India faces a border standoff with China in eastern Ladakh. The border clash in 2020 resulted in the loss of lives on both the Indian and Chinese sides. The discussions between the U.S. Defense Secretary and India come as both countries grapple with China's rise and assertiveness in the region. I would appreciate it if you would subscribe.